If you would have told me at the beginning of the year that the Acolyte releasing on Disney Plus would eventually lead to a diss track on those racist bigot trolls online, I would have never believed you. Actually, that's a lie. I probably would have believed you. After the release of probably one of the worst episodes of television ever, one can hope that the following episode would move on and move forward from that, even if they're tiny little baby steps forward. So me, the brave soul here, I've watched the Acolyte episode 4, and I am here to give you my thoughts and opinions, a little bit of a recap, and of course, we're going to discuss the absolute ownage by the lead actress on those racist bigot trolls who hate the show because there's a woman in it. Let's get into it, folks. So we begin in Coruscant as Osha returns to the Jedi Temple after a failed attempt of capturing her now alive twin sister, May. Remember in episode 2 when they had an interaction and there was just so much emotion. Jecki and Osha have a scene together that gives all the Tumblr geeks enough content to deem these characters gay. Screen wipe away to a council of Jedi discussing May and her abilities. You know, a Force user with dark intentions. Or, as some may call it, a Sith apprentice. Now, this is a small council of Jedi. It's not really the Supreme Council, but I imagine everyone in this room doesn't really make it to Phantom Menace or live to tell the tale. Because, you know, there's that line in Phantom Menace where Ki-Adi-Mundi says, "We haven't seen a Sith in like a millennium."
Impossible. The Sith have been extinct for a millennium.
Wait. Hold a second. Isn't that him right there? Is that the same guy, or is it different? Oh. It's the same guy. So, after doing some research, I found that Ki-Adi-Mundi was 74 when he died in Revenge of the Sith. I mean, he had one of the most brutal death scenes ever, so rest in peace to him. But I thought this show takes place 100 years before Phantom Menace. So, if I'm doing math correctly, he is not even supposed to be born yet, right? I think that's right. I mean, Disney really did say fuck it with all the Legends content and that lore, but now they're saying fuck it with all the prequel lores? What are they doing here? And it's funny now, too, because if you go into Wikipedia, you know, the all Star Wars encyclopedia, there's 2 tabs now for Ki-Adi-Mundi. There's the Legends tab and there's a Canon tab. And in the Canon tab, there's now not a birthday at all. We don't know when he was born. And honestly, I can accept that, right? Because we don't know with his species how long they live or how short they live. You know, his species can kind of be like Yoda, where they live for like hundreds of years. What pisses me off the most is they use the same exact guy who says that line in Phantom Menace. You know, the very important line that lets us know that these Jedi haven't seen a Sith in a very long time. They could have picked anyone else. Literally anyone else. And it would have kind of made more sense. They could have picked Yaddle. I mean, she's a strong female character and she lives for ages. Why didn't they just pick her? Why did they have to pick Ki-Adi-Mundi, the guy who says that Sith haven't been around for a millennium? It makes no sense at this point. Who is writing this shit? And are they even paying attention? Because now you're telling me that Ki-Adi-Mundi for all those years kept this little secret about May and just doesn't mention it. Then he gets promoted to the Supreme Council and doesn't mention anything at all about these 2 twin sisters, and one of them might be a Sith apprentice. Doesn't say anything about it. They're handing the keys to this franchise to people who do not give a shit, nor do they know anything about Star Wars. And it's becoming more and more obvious with each show or movie. I feel like there's gonna be some bullshit at the end where it's like,
actually, they aren't Sith users. They are Force users with evil intentions who use red lightsabers.
Moving on with this episode, we see more amazing writing on display.
Fine. But I'm not wearing that civilian robe.
The order, Station Master Kalnak.
Get it? Because she didn't want to wear the jacket, and then in the next scene, she's wearing the jacket. So funny. Now, the Jedi are going to get this Wookiee Jedi that we saw at the end of episode 2, and of course, Osha's with them. But also with them is Basil, who is a cute little tracker, and they're going to sell a lot of plush toys of him. Oh, sorry. They're going to sell a lot of plush toys of them.
Is he or they
It makes me feel safe and secure to know that our modern language is still alive and well, billions and billions of light years away. Now, a lot of this episode is people staring in the woods, walking, tracking. They do kill an animal at one point, but OSHA said it had feelings. I mean, bitch, it was coming right after you. Try reasoning with it when it wants to bite your head off. Go ahead. Be my guest. But then we get to the most shocking scene in the episode. And no, I'm not talking about the ending. We will get there. Don't worry. May and this Ezra Miller type of character are tracking down the Wookiee Jedi as well. And there's a scene where May ties up discount Ezra Miller and it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna turn myself into the Jedi now.
I don't need to do this anymore. I don't need to kill a Jedi without a weapon. I don't need to keep this deal.
What I'm going to do is surrender myself to Kelnaka, and then turn myself into the Jedi.
What? Literally out of nowhere, just turns face. It makes no sense whatsoever. And even Ezra Miller is just like, hey, you killed 2 Jedi Masters already. They are going to lock you up. And her rebuttal to that is just, no, they won't. And then she goes on about telling how her loyalty is to her sister, and her knowing that she's alive now, they can team together? Right, your twin sister, who you tried to kill in a fiery death, that sister, you're loyal to her now?
You sure about that? You sure about that?
May arrives at the Wookiee Jedi's house, followed close by the Jedi witch hunt. May sees a dead Wookiee body with a lightsaber wound across the chest. Okay, so if you're stabbed with tiny knives, you're dead. If you're stabbed in the gut with a lightsaber, you're good. If you get slashed across the chest with a lightsaber, you're dead. Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to follow Star Wars logic now. Now here comes the big moment we've all been waiting for. That's right, the big bad Sith. Oh, I'm sorry, the Force user with evil intentions. They float down like Mary Poppins and face all the Jedi and OSHA. They ignite their red lightsaber and the Jedi follow suit, igniting their weapons. They all charge after the evil Force user, and the evil Force user pushes them away, and we cut to black. Man, they really didn't push away 1. Or push away 2. They pushed away... Overall, this episode wasn't as bad as episode 3, but it's still pretty close. Don't get me wrong. Nothing has really changed in terms of storytelling or writing. In fact, you can argue that it has gotten worse. Characters flip-flopping motivations with no rhyme or reason, like May just becoming a good guy all of a sudden. The dialogue is still garbage. I'm pretty sure they think we're dumb and don't know what's going on. So they have these characters explain like every thought and feeling they have. The only really positive thing I can take from the show is the actor Lee Jong-jae. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He's the guy that's playing Soul. He's really the only actor in this show that gives off, you know, a good performance. And it really sucks because he learned English for this role. Imagine learning a whole new language just to star in this shitty show. I still think one of the mothers is that evil Sith Force user. People were saying it's discount Ezra Miller, but I don't know. And they do use he, him pronouns when they're talking about this master, but I think that's a ploy. I think it's a side. They want you to think it's a male because when it's revealed a female, you're gonna be like, what? A girl? Plus it would make all those bigot trolls whine and complain online. But speaking of those bigot trolls, Amanda Steinberg had a response to all the critics and racists online critiquing her show. She deadass made a whole music video. That's right, the lead actress, person, I think, of the Acolyte went out and made a whole ass diss track about the trolls or something. Yeah. Okay. She had this captioned with it. Juneteenth, and to those who are flooding me with intolerable racism. Since it took me 72 hours on my laptop to make this song and video, you got 72 hours to respond, and I expect choreo. Is she trying to start diss track wars with her haters? I mean, hell, I thought we've seen it all at this point. Her song really focuses on her being oppressed, even though she grew up in this industry and she was handpicked for this role in the Acolyte. But, you know, go off. I mean, I'm no music critique here, nor do I make music, but you can definitely tell this song was made in 72 hours. I just love the many ways they are now attacking you for critiquing their show. You know, they can come out in an interview and diss the fans, or they can tweet up a storm and tweet directly at you. And now we're seeing them make diss tracks on you? God, I love the internet. But looking at the overall picture, I kind of, get why they need to justify making the show. Because they got a $180 million budget. Yeah, I was shocked too. $180 million for 8 episodes, each about a half hour long. Maybe they're spending that budget on her music career? Is there gonna be a whole musical at the end? I really do hope that this show continues to fail, and by the looks of it, it probably is. They already broke Star Wars logic, they completely ruined Anakin's whole existence, and then now they're breaking canon and making their own canon. You're doing great, guys. You're doing great. And none of that really matters, because this show on its own sucks. Look at the writing, look at the storytelling, look at the acting. It doesn't matter if this was in the Star Wars universe. This show sucks ass, which is why I will be watching all of it. But of course, at the end of the day, I do want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think of the Acolyte so far? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.